Okay, folks. So, with the pizza challenge yesterday, we came into the problem of dealing with small, medium, large, and stuff like that. So, I'm just going to quickly make a mini program here to demonstrate what I'm talking about. If you can watch the screen, I am recording it, so we'll have that in a moment. So, I gotta just import. So, this is Java. Um, I'll explain the differences with HTML right after. So I've got the question of what size. So the problem is it's small, medium, large, et cetera, right? So if I have a string to represent size, I have a double to represent my price, and I have another string to represent my output. So when this question is asked, I've got a couple ways to do this. So the first thing is I'm going to get the size from the person. And I just realized I need a scanner object. Okay, so input dot. Now, those of you doing JavaScript, obviously I'll use the document get element by ID and get the text box for the size. Any situation where you have really defined like small, medium, large, that's where I would use a drop down list for JavaScript. And the drop down list, if you look at my sample program of different input types, um, it's the selected value and stuff like that. So you want to play with that. But now that I've got the size, um, now I can check what I'm dealing with. So this is where we don't really cover if statements in this unit. So an if statement allows me to check if something is true. And if something is true, I can run certain code. We're going to go more in detail in that later. But basically, so I'm going to check. Now, if you're looking at strings, this gets back to the primitive data type. Um, I want to make sure that if it's a string, I should do a string method to compare. If I'm dealing with two numbers, I can use less than, greater than, and all that. But with strings, I want to do a method. So I'm going to take the size that they entered, and the dot allows me to access any methods related to the strings thing. So I should be able to type that. And I'm just going to put an S for small. So this is just troubleshooting. And if I run this, I should be able to get it. And I've got an error. System out print line, I have a typo. Just a couple troubleshooting things. As you can see, I see that I got an error. I look for the error. It's on line 11. They're pointing at there. So it's like, okay, there's something wrong here. And because I've made this mistake before with typing, it's quick for me to find it. Okay, what size? Small, medium, large. If I enter a capital S, I get small. Perfect. Now, a couple little finicky things. Small, medium, and large. If I enter a small, I'm not going to get the same result because it's the small letter S. So whenever I'm asking for input, I want to make sure that I'm not dealing with spelling mistakes. So instead of asking the person to type the word small, just having it the letter S makes it so much easier to get accurate data. And same thing for those in JavaScript. If I have a predefined list, use a drop down so they have to pick small, medium, or large. If you're getting them to type that in a box, I guarantee you somebody is going to type misspell it and SMAALL, like they're going to mess it up. So you always make it easy for the user and make it easy for yourself to get accurate information. All right. So obviously, first name, it's a text box. They're going to have to type it in because there's too many options. What size? There's 3 options. Perfect for a drop-down list. In Java, this is where I might do a loop and enter 1 for small, 2 for medium, 3 whatever. And that kind of strategy can be really effective to get the right information. So that's really key. So one thing that I'm going to do is if I just look at W3 schools. I hope this records properly. Yeah, I set window, right? So it should. Just going down to strings, there's a whole bunch of string methods. So here's one called toUpperCase. So this is where it comes in really handy. So right now I've got my size if it equals a capital S. Well, what I can do here is I can type toUpperCase. And what I'm doing now is that I'm taking whatever they enter and I'm converting it to uppercase letters, and then I'm checking if it's comparable to a capital S. And the reason that I want to do that, let's just try that. What size, small, medium, or large? If I enter a small s, it's now recognizing it, whereas before it wasn't recognizing it. So that's just a really useful trick to be able to do stuff. So I have, if it equals small, then what do I want to do? Well, in this case, I'm going to take my price and I'm going to add, small was $10, right? Yes. Now, this is probably new for most of you. Plus equals. Going back to numbers. I'm just going to go back to Java data types. So Java data types numbers. So here you've got integers and stuff like that. I want operators. There we go. We were dealing with operators the other day, and we did addition, subtraction, et cetera, et cetera. You'll notice there's some other operators here that I didn't talk about. These are really useful. So increment means that you're adding to it. So this is the same as writing x equals x plus 1. And there's more down here. So plus equals is the same as going, okay, x plus equals 3 means take whatever x is currently equal to and add 3 to it. So x equals x plus 3. Have I mentioned programmers are lazy, less numbers, less typing, that's it. So even though I didn't cover that in class, I did direct you to this page and I'm expecting you to read it. All right? So that it's really important those resources, accessing them. Okay, so now I've got my price. My initial price is set to 0. That's great. Now, I've obviously got more than small, medium, and large. So at the end of my if, you'll notice that my brackets here, that lines up with that. So that's the end of the if. So that's the one that I want, where now I can do another one, else if. And again, I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to just copy that and paste it in. So I kind of messed that up. What does that close? Okay, I screwed up. Be careful copying and pasting because it's the brackets are really confusing. So here's another strategy. So that's my class. That's my main method. And that keeps me a little organized here. So this one, instead of small, it's going to be a capital M. So in this case, price is plus equal to 15. And here's the deal. I can keep adding else ifs as much as I need. But in this particular situation, I have a decision to make. Either I decide that the person's going to be accurate with their information, in which case I can just use else, or I'm going to assume that the person is not accurate and I'm going to go through and do the else if. And I'll explain what I'm saying there in a second. A lot of typing here. If it equals large, um, okay, so if I run this now, I should be able to enter, and I've got errors. If it equals M, what I'm missing is a bracket. So that bracket closes that bracket. And this highlighting technique is really useful to make sure that you have things correct. You'll notice I only had one error and I double checked it. I think it's saying it's that. There's my main class. Okay, so I've got another screw up here. And my problem is I'm missing my closing for my if statement. So that's why I'm getting that error. Yep. Okay, so if I run this now, I've eliminated my, oh my crying out loud. And again, I keep forgetting to type the T. You're seeing me make lots of mistakes today. Okay, what size? Small, medium, large. If I type an L, it recognizes it, whether it's lowercase or uppercase. If I type an M, it recognizes it, and I've already checked with the small. Okay, so the reason I want to mention is right now, what if they enter something else? And that's where you always want to assume your user is going to enter inaccurate information. So I'm just going to have else. Make sure I get that. I can't remember which command it is. Exit, the exit method. I'm just going to try this. So if they enter wrong information, okay, maybe not. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what it is, but I can actually close it. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Somebody is phoning me, and I'm going to turn off my phone. Okay. So if I enter wrong information, I get an error, and that's good practice. I'll always assume the person's going to mess it up. Okay. So now that I've got this, at the end of my if statement, oops, I should be able to, so you notice I'm outside of the brackets, the squiggly braces. I've got my subtotal. If I run this now, I've got a medium. My subtotal is $15. So everything's working. All right. So this is how you can use this. Now, when I'm doing that, so I can check if it's this. Now, JavaScript, you actually have a nice little technique. If you're doing the system or a select list, and where's our textbook? Let me just pull up the textbook and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So JavaScript, so the textbook has the input types. I apologize, this is just taking a few moments to load up. So JavaScript input, if I go to my GitHub there, so here's my index. This provinces section, JavaScript, there's my list of provinces. And here's the trick. For the provinces, I have a value for each province, and then I have the text. So the user is looking at this text. The bonus for those of you doing JavaScript is that you can have like small or whatever, and then you could have the dollar amount in there so that you can use that. And if you look at the script, when we get to the paragraph one, it's very confusing. So document, okay, get element by ID, provinces. Now, options, and here's where it's really cool. You've got the square brackets, which allows you to put in here, I want the selected index. And you can find the value of that selected index. Okay. But you can also, instead of value, you should be able to pull what the text is so that then you can just output the size based on the text and take the number, parse it as an integer or a double, and be able to use that in your math. So you don't even need an if statement for what you're doing. It's useful, but you can do it either way. The other thing to keep in mind, the if statement's really good for the toppings. The checked status for JavaScript, if you're using a checkbox, well, that results in a true or false statement. So you can just have if document get element by ID checked, and if it's checked, then do this. And the sample code in here actually shows you that. Where is the Boolean? Yeah, so here's the Boolean for JavaScript, and I'm doing that. So I'm getting the value, and then I'm just doing an if statement to check if it's checked or not. If it's true, do this. Otherwise, do this. Okay. Java, same thing. You can just have, put a 1 if you're getting this topping, or 0, and you're checking if it's a 1. You don't need to check if it's 0. If you check if it's 1, then you add the topping. If it's anything else, you assume that they're not getting the topping. Simple. So that's a lot of stuff, folks. I'm going to save this recording and upload it to Classroom so you can refer to it. I hope that clarifies. Any questions before I'm done? Can I tweak this